Ever feel like the universe has a twisted sense of humor, especially when it comes to your love life? Like it's throwing obstacles, or even the wrong people, at you just for kicks? We've all been there, tangled up in confusing relationships, hitting the same old walls, or wondering why the one always seems to arrive at the most inconvenient moment. It makes you wonder, doesn't it? Is there some cosmic puppeteer messing with our romantic destiny? What if I told you it's not random, and it's definitely not malicious? What if those frustrating patterns and uncanny coincidences are actually profound messages, guiding you towards a deeper understanding of yourself and the love you truly deserve? Stick around, because we're about to uncover how Carl Jung's ancient wisdom reveals the universe isn't trolling you, it's trying to wake you up. Let's be real, navigating love can feel like an elaborate, cruel game of Twister where the board keeps moving. You think you've got it figured out, you're reaching for that perfect red circle, and boom, the universe spins the arrow again, landing you on an awkward green, with your knee in someone else's face. We chase connections, we yearn for soulmates, and often, we find ourselves repeating the same heart-wrenching patterns, attracting people who are eerily similar to past partners, or dealing with the exact same emotional baggage we thought we'd left behind. It's enough to make you throw your hands up and wonder if there's some grand, cosmic prankster at play, getting a good laugh at your expense. But what if I told you this isn't random chaos? What if your love life, with all its beautiful messes and frustrating dead ends, is actually a meticulously designed sandbox? A playground built specifically for your growth, reflecting back to you the parts of yourself you need to see, acknowledge, and integrate. This isn't about blaming the stars or destiny. It's about understanding that the universe, in its infinite wisdom, speaks to us through experience. And few experiences are as potent, as revealing, as our romantic relationships. They hold up a mirror, often a magnifying mirror, to our deepest fears, our hidden desires, and our unexamined wounds. Think about it. Have you ever dated someone and realized, halfway through the relationship, that they embody every single trait you secretly can't stand in yourself? Or maybe they highlight a vulnerability you've spent years trying to suppress. That's not just bad luck, that's the universe, with a wink and a nudge, saying, hey, pay attention here. There's something important for you to learn about yourself. This is where Carl Jung's brilliant insights come into play. He understood that our outer world is a reflection of our inner landscape. The people we attract, the challenges we face in love, the very fabric of our romantic narratives, they're all rich, symbolic messages from our own unconscious. It's easy to look outside ourselves for answers. Why do they keep doing this to me? Or, why do I always pick these types? But Jung would gently reframe that, suggesting we turn the gaze inward. What within me is drawing this experience? What part of my story is being played out through this interaction? It's a profound shift, moving from victimhood to agency. Once you start seeing your love life as this cosmic mirror, you realize that trolling isn't punitive. It's pedagogical. The universe isn't trying to hurt you, it's trying to teach you. And the lessons are always about becoming more whole, more integrated, more you. So, instead of cursing your luck, what if we started listening to these cosmic whispers, understanding that every twist and turn in our romantic journey is a clue on the path to self-discovery? Now, let's talk about something that hits close to home for many of us, especially when we find ourselves trapped in repetitive, unfulfilling relationship cycles. Have you ever looked at a partner and thought, how did I ever end up with someone like this again? Maybe they're unreliable, overly critical, avoidant, or perhaps they have a dependency issue you swore you'd never tolerate. It's baffling, right? You try so hard to choose differently, yet the same problematic traits keep showing up in your romantic partners, like a recurring bad dream. Jung would point us directly to the concept of the shadow, not some spooky, evil thing, but simply the parts of ourselves we deem unacceptable, messy, or socially undesirable, so we push them away, out of our conscious awareness. These are the aspects we deny, repress, or project onto others. Maybe it's our own capacity for anger, laziness, vulnerability, or even our wild, untamed creativity. We hide these pieces in the attic of our psyche, hoping no one, especially not us, will ever find them. But here's the kicker. What we deny in ourselves, we often end up attracting in others. The universe, in its attempt to make us whole, will frequently present us with partners who embody our unacknowledged shadow qualities. Why? Because the only way to heal and integrate these parts is to first see them. Your partner isn't just an individual. They can also be a walking, talking mirror reflecting back the very traits you've disowned. Let's say you pride yourself on being incredibly independent and self-sufficient. You can't stand neediness or emotional dependence in others. It just grates on you. So what happens? You might find yourself consistently dating partners who are incredibly clingy, who need constant reassurance, or who struggle to function without you. Your immediate reaction is probably frustration, maybe even anger. Why can't they just be strong and self-reliant like me? But if we put on our Jungian glasses, we might ask, where in my life have I suppressed my own need for support? My own vulnerability? My own desire to lean on someone? Perhaps your fierce independence is a reaction to an earlier wound, a refusal to acknowledge your own human need for connection and help. Your partner, in this scenario, isn't just being needy, they're screaming for you to look at your own denied needs. Or consider someone who judges others for being messy, disorganized, or impulsive. They crave order and control. And then, surprise, they fall for someone who's a free spirit, a whirlwind of beautiful chaos, utterly incapable of sticking to a schedule. What's going on? Perhaps the universe is asking them to embrace their own inner spontaneity, their own creative wildness that they've kept locked down for fear of being out of control. The trolling here isn't about punishment, it's about invitation. An invitation to bring the light of consciousness to your own dark corners, to reclaim those exiled parts of yourself. When you start to recognize and integrate your shadow, the types of people you attract will naturally shift. You'll stop needing others to carry those projections for you, and your relationships can become arenas for genuine connection, rather than just cosmic therapy sessions. Now, let's venture into a different, equally potent Jungian concept that often dictates the initial magic and subsequent heartbreak in our love lives, the Anima and Animus. This is a big one, because it's at the heart of why we fall so intensely for certain people, and why those intense beginnings can sometimes unravel into profound disappointment. Jung proposed that within every man's unconscious resides a feminine image, called the Anima, and within every woman's unconscious, a masculine image, called the Animus. These aren't just gender stereotypes. They're archetypal representations of the contrasexual soul image, the inner counterpart to our conscious ego. Think of them as the inner lover, the idealized qualities of the opposite gender or the gender you're attracted to, that reside within your own psyche. They represent our unlived potential, our emotional depths, and often, the qualities we are seeking to integrate within ourselves. Here's where the trolling comes in. When we meet someone in the real world who seems to perfectly embody the qualities of our Anima or Animus, bam, we're hit with that dizzying, intoxicating rush we call falling in love. It feels like destiny, like kismet, like finally we've found the one. This isn't just an attraction to a person, it's largely a powerful projection of our inner ideal onto an external human being. They become the canvas upon which we paint our deepest desires for connection, understanding, and completion. In that initial infatuation phase, we don't really see the other person for who they are. We see our Anima or Animus. We see the embodiment of our internal ideal. And for a while, it's glorious. They seem to understand us like no one else, to possess all the missing pieces we've been searching for. But here's the rub. No real human being can ever perfectly sustain the weight of an archetypal projection. Eventually, the initial glow starts to fade. Reality sets in. The perfect partner reveals their flaws, their quirks, their very human imperfections. They don't always say the right thing. They leave socks on the floor. They have different opinions. They're not always available to fulfill our every emotional whim. And that's when the disappointment hits. The trolling feels most acute here, because it's the shattering of an illusion. We think they've changed, or that we were mistaken about them. But often, it's just that the projection has started to withdraw. We're seeing the real person, and they don't quite match the god or goddess we initially saw. This can lead to profound disillusionment, heartbreak, and the painful realization that our soulmate might just be a regular person with their own journey. The universe isn't trying to trick us with these powerful projections. It's offering us a pathway, The purpose of these Anima/Animus encounters isn't necessarily to find an external other half to complete us. It's to bring the qualities of our inner ideal back within ourselves. It's to recognize that the strength, the compassion, the creativity, the passion we so admire and seek in others actually reside dormant within us. The trolling is the universe saying, "Look, I showed you what you're capable of. Now, stop searching outside and start cultivating those qualities within your own soul." It's an invitation to individuation, to become a whole, integrated person, rather than forever seeking completion in another. When we do this, our relationships transform. They become less about fulfilling a fantasy and more about two whole individuals sharing their journeys, supporting each other's growth, and loving each other for their real, imperfect, beautiful selves. All right, let's shift gears and talk about those uncanny, almost magical coincidences that pepper our romantic lives. You know, the moments that make you pause and wonder if there's something more going on than just chance. We're talking about Jung's concept of synchronicity, meaningful coincidences that seem to defy probability, where an inner psychic state mysteriously mirrors an outer event. And believe me, our love lives are prime real estate for these universal winks. Think about it. Have you ever been thinking intensely about an old flame, only for them to inexplicably text you 5 minutes later? Or maybe you've been grappling with a specific relationship dilemma, and then, out of nowhere, you overhear a stranger on a bus having the exact same conversation, giving you a sudden flash of insight. What about those meet cuties that seem straight out of a movie? You miss a train, spill your coffee, take a wrong turn, and suddenly, you bump into the person who becomes incredibly significant in your life. These aren't just random occurrences. For Jung, synchronicity isn't about cause and effect, it's about an acausal connecting principle. It's the universe speaking to us in a symbolic language, hinting at deeper patterns and connections between our inner world and the external reality. In the context of love, these synchronous events can feel like divine guidance or, depending on the outcome, like the universe playing a particularly elaborate joke. Sometimes, synchronicity can feel incredibly affirming. It's the universe giving you a green light, a sign that you're on the right path. You're hesitant about a new relationship, and then a song plays on the radio with lyrics that perfectly echo your feelings, or a friend brings up a story that feels like a direct answer to your unspoken question. These moments can provide a powerful sense of validation, a feeling that you're supported by something larger than yourself. But then there are the moments that feel like trolling. You've finally moved on from a toxic relationship, you're feeling good, you're ready for a fresh start, and then you keep running into your ex everywhere. At the grocery store, at your favorite coffee shop, even at a friend's party you didn't think they'd attend. It feels like the universe is conspiring to keep them in your orbit, dragging you back to old feelings. Or perhaps you're looking for love, and you keep meeting people who are almost right, but always with some crucial, deal-breaking flaw, perfectly highlighting your deepest fears about commitment or vulnerability. These trolling synchronicities aren't meant to torment you. They're the universe's way of ensuring you really pay attention. If you keep seeing your ex, it might be a nudge to truly understand why that relationship ended, what lessons you still need to integrate, or to confirm that you've truly closed that chapter emotionally. If you keep meeting almost right partners, it could be a sign to look inward and clarify what you truly need and value, rather than settling, or perhaps to address an unconscious pattern that's attracting these specific types. The key to understanding synchronicity in love is to see it as a dialogue. The universe isn't just sending random signals, it's responding to your inner state, your unconscious questions, and your evolutionary needs. When you experience a synchronous event, don't just dismiss it as chance. Pause. Ask yourself, what is my inner world grappling with right now? What thought, feeling, or dilemma does this external event seem to be mirroring? By tuning into this dialogue, you move beyond feeling trolled and start to understand the profound wisdom embedded in these cosmic winks and nudges, using them to navigate your love life with greater insight and purpose. So far, we've talked about the mirrors and the winks, but let's get into the deeper purpose behind why your love life often feels like a challenging gauntlet. Jung's ultimate goal for every human being was what he called individuation. This isn't about becoming individualistic or selfish. It's about becoming a whole person, integrating all the disparate parts of yourself, conscious and unconscious, light and shadow, masculine and feminine, into a unique, coherent self. It's the journey of becoming who you were truly meant to be, a process of psychological transformation. And guess what? Romantic relationships are one of the most powerful, intense, and often painful crucibles for this individuation process. Why? Because intimate connections rip open our defenses, expose our vulnerabilities, and force us to confront aspects of ourselves we might otherwise comfortably ignore. You can avoid your shadow when you're alone, but try avoiding it when you're deeply intertwined with another human being. Think about it. When you commit to someone, you're entering a dynamic where your emotional buttons are constantly being pushed. Your partner will, often unwittingly, trigger your childhood wounds, your insecurities, your fears of abandonment or engulfment. They might highlight your tendency to be controlling, or your habit of withdrawing, or your struggle with expressing your true feelings. This isn't because they're bad people, or even trying to troll you. It's because they are essential catalysts for your growth. These relationship challenges, these moments of conflict, misunderstanding, and heartbreak, aren't just unfortunate bumps in the road. They are precisely the grist for the mill of individuation. They force you to look inward. They demand that you examine your own reactions, your own patterns, your own contributions to the dynamic. It's often during the deepest periods of struggle in a relationship that we experience our most profound self-discoveries. For example, imagine you're someone who tends to avoid conflict at all costs. You might find yourself repeatedly in relationships where your partner constantly picks fights or confronts issues head-on, forcing you to engage. This trolling isn't about making your life miserable. It's an urgent call from the universe to develop your capacity for assertive communication, to learn how to stand your ground, and to integrate that more forceful, boundary-setting part of yourself. Or perhaps you've always defined yourself through your relationships, losing yourself in each partner. The universe might present you with a relationship that, through its very challenges, forces you to reclaim your own identity, hobbies, and sense of self outside of the couple unit. These relationship trolls are actually benevolent guides. They're not trying to keep you from happiness. They're showing you the path through the difficulties to a deeper, more authentic happiness. A happiness that comes not from an external source or a perfect partner, but from your own integrated self. It's about realizing that the friction in your relationships isn't just a sign of trouble. It's often a sign of immense potential for growth. When you embrace this perspective, every argument, every misunderstanding, every period of emotional pain becomes an opportunity to step closer to your authentic self, making your relationships not just about finding love, but about becoming whole. So, if the universe isn't maliciously trolling us, but rather sending us profound, sometimes challenging, messages through our love lives, how do we stop feeling like we're caught in some cosmic prank and actually start to reclaim our romantic destiny? The good news is, Jungian insights don't just explain the patterns, they offer powerful tools to break free from them. It's about shifting from being a passive recipient of fate to an active participant in your own individuation journey. The first, and arguably most crucial, step is cultivating self-awareness. This means becoming a meticulous observer of your own internal landscape. When you find yourself in a familiar relationship pattern, attracting the wrong type again, feeling the same old insecurities flare up, or reacting in ways you later regret, pause. Instead of blaming the other person or your bad luck, ask yourself, what part of me is showing up here? What belief, fear, or unacknowledged aspect of myself is being triggered or reflected? This is where you begin to spot your shadow at play, or recognize an Anima/Animus projection for what it is. Journaling, meditation, and even talking with a trusted friend or therapist can be incredibly helpful in this process. The goal isn't to judge these parts, but to simply see them and acknowledge their presence. Secondly, start to consciously integrate your shadow. Once you've identified those denied parts of yourself, perhaps a tendency towards anger you suppress, a deep well of neediness you never express, or a wild, creative impulse you've stifled, begin to gently re-own them. This doesn't mean you become an angry, needy mess. It means you acknowledge that these capacities exist within you. If you realize you've been projecting neediness onto partners, Try consciously allowing yourself to be vulnerable with a friend or ask for help when you genuinely need it. If you've been judging others for being messy, allow yourself to embrace a little creative chaos in your own life. By integrating these parts, you diminish the unconscious need for them to be played out in external relationships. You become more whole, and therefore, you attract relationships that are less about filling a void and more about genuine connection. Next, disentangle your Anima/Animus projections. That initial rush of finding the one is powerful, but when the inevitable disillusionment sets in, instead of blaming your partner for not being perfect, turn inward. Ask yourself, what qualities did I initially project onto them? What aspects of my ideal partner did I see? Then, recognize that these very qualities are dormant within you. If you admired their strength, ask how you can cultivate more strength in your own life. If you love their nurturing spirit, how can you be more nurturing to yourself and others? The goal is to internalize these archetypal energies, to become your own inner soulmate, rather than perpetually seeking an external one. This makes you a more complete, less needy partner, capable of healthier, more authentic relationships. Finally, engage with synchronicity intentionally. When those meaningful coincidences pop up in your love life, don't just shrug them off. Lean into them. What message might the universe be sending? Is it a nudge to take action, a warning to reflect, or a confirmation of a path? By paying attention to these symbolic communications, you stop feeling like a pawn in a game and start seeing yourself as a co-creator in dialogue with the cosmos. Reclaiming your love story isn't about finding a magic bullet or a perfect partner. It's about a profound journey of self-discovery, of integrating all the beautiful, messy, contradictory parts of yourself. When you do this, your relationships naturally transform. The trolling stops feeling like an attack and starts revealing itself for what it truly is. The universe's loving, albeit sometimes stern, guidance, helping you become the most whole, authentic, and truly lovable version of yourself. So what have we learned today? Your love life might feel like the universe is pulling a fast one on you, but through a Jungian lens, we see it differently. Those frustrating patterns, magnetic attractions, and uncanny coincidences aren't random or malicious. They're profound messages. We explored how your shadow self attracts what you deny, how Anima/Animus projections create illusions, and how synchronicity offers symbolic guidance. Ultimately, every challenge in love is an invitation for your own individuation, pushing you towards wholeness and self-awareness. Now, I'd love to hear from you. Have you recognized any of these Jungian dynamics in your own love life? What's one trolling moment that, looking back, was actually a profound lesson? Share your stories and insights in the comments below. And if this journey into the unconscious resonated with you, hit that like button, subscribe for more deep dives into philosophy and psychology, and let's keep exploring the hidden forces that shape our lives together.